Okay. Today, inshallah, we will continue same issue, some introduction for object-oriented. So we will speak more about declaring the class, creating object from the class. It's the most important issue in object-oriented and in Java. So always remember that everything in Java should be inside class. So the main concept here is the class, creating the class that have its attributes, means variables that will keep the data, and some methods to manage this data. So we will focus today in same subject, creating the class and how to use the class. We said always, before using the class, you need to create object from the class. Before reaching the attributes, the data of the class, you have to create object. Before reaching any method, you have to create object, because data or attributes and method belong to the object. To use it, it have to sort in the memory, yes? It will not be created in the memory until you create what? Object. Okay? So to reserve the attributes means a variable in the memory, to have place for the methods. Okay, methods, we said it's the functions, yes? Methods and its data in the memory. You have to create first what? Object. Okay, last time we gave this example. I already gave you this example. And we saw the idea about compilation and running the code in Java, and we said that Java compiler takes a source code. I think we have a problem here. I have to stop sharing the screen and share it again. Okay. Okay. So we mentioned that Java compiler takes the Java source code, then compile it, and it gives us a file.class, which is Java bytecode. So it's in the middle between the source code and the machine learning. Why Java uses this way? Because this code, Java bytecode, now it's portable. You can give it to the user, and on any machines that have almost any operating system, it will run. Why? Because most of the machine, if it's have Windows, Linux, or OS, or any operating system, it will have something called Java Virtual Machine, which can run this Java byte code. Then after that, we give some information about object, class. I think I gave this one last time. Okay. What's a class? Class, it's like the template, like the blueprint, like when you ask engineer to create, for example, construction project, the engineer will go and make some engineer drawing, yes, for the building, for each flat in the building, and so on. And then the constructor will use this map. So this engineering maps and this engineering drawing, it's like the class. Then when you start to create the different buildings, specific buildings, this means you are creating objects. So what's the object? It's, let's say, special copy with data from the class, or the class it's describing the object. So the object is, we said, copy or instance from the class. All this we mentioned last time. Okay, and I already gave this example. Let's go and take more examples. So let's start some basics information Java. Okay, so you already talk programming 1 and programming 2, and you know the data type in C language. Actually, data type in Java, it's similar, but we have some small differences. Like in C language, we don't have Boolean, but here we have Boolean. You know, the Boolean data type, it's one bit, true or false. It's take true or false. So we have in Java true or false. Like C language, when we want a data type to be Boolean, we said it's true if it's 1, okay, or it's false if it's 0. Any other value, it will be true, yes? But here we have true and false in Java. So we have all this data type. How to create any variable in Java? The data type, name of the variable, and we also can give initial value. So we have almost all main data type: integer, double, float, character, and we have Boolean, and we have string. Yes, string, it's not the primitive data type, but it exists directly in Java, not like C. You can use it directly in Java, the string. You don't need to define array of character like C language. You can define directly a string variable and use it. Okay. Actually, in Java, we have same function like C language, printf, but it's not too much usable. Because printf in C language, you need to define what? The format specifier for variables and so on. But in Java, instead, we use what? Println. Why? Because we don't need format specifier. You don't need to define the format specifier and make headache for all this notation. Yes, you don't need to use it. With println, directly you print any variable directly without format specifier. We will take some examples about this. Okay, so let's move to the conditional statements. We have two conditional statements in Java, like C language. We have if else statement and we have a switch case. If a statement normal, like C language, if this true, this statement is true, then do some job, print, calculate something. If, else if, until else. You could have only if statement without else, only if else statement. You can use any formation from this. Switch case, also it's same like C language. Switch the values of this variable. So we have parameter here for the switch, which is variable. Then the cases of this variable. If the day equal 1, do something, break. Case 2, do something, break. Case 3, case 5. Okay, and of course we have default and so on. I don't want to waste too much time stopping for everyone because you should know these issues now. It's third programming language with you or third course, but we will apply all this during our course, okay? We have the loops. We have for, while, and this one, it's not exist in C, yes? For each loop. It's very important loop. We use it too much with the arrays, okay? For each loop, you don't need to know the of the array, okay? You take, actually, we see the array as a set of objects, not necessarily to be only primitive value, integer value, or character value. You could have array for objects of the class. You could have many types of array. Okay, so for each value inside this array, do some job. We use it to take value by value from the array. We will give more examples, especially about for each value. So the first statement, it's like C language. We have the initial value for the initial value, then the condition to stop the loop, then the increment or the step value. It could be plus, minus. It could be +2, any step like C language. And as you can see here, print what? I. What is I? Integer. In C language, print F, you have to put %d, the formatted specifier. Here directly, you can print the variable without any specifier. Java will understand this variable, its value from which data type. Okay, while loop, while condition, do some job. So while this condition is true, do some job until the condition become false. Okay, so we need something, for example, to change this condition. Here's a condition about integer value. So we have here like counter. So what's the output for this one? One? No, not 1. 0 to 4. Yes. Okay. It's do the job, then check the condition. What's the output for this one? 0 to 5. Why to 5? Because we check the condition after, yes? So we print, then we check the condition. Yes? Sure? Okay. Move with it. It will print 0. Then I become what? Become 1. Then it will print 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I become 5. Yes? Check condition. False. Then end. It will print 5. So 0 to 4 also. It's same. The only difference between while and do while, only the difference that if the first value is false, will do it, the printing, then we'll check the condition. So the difference will be only if the first value, it's not same like condition. For example, if we have this one, I equal, for example, 6. I equal, here will be some differences. Here, first one will print nothing because 6 this is 5, so the condition is false. It go to the next line. But do I, okay, do print I, it will print 6, then I plus plus, it's become 7, 7 less than 5, then exit the loop. This is the only difference, okay? But in the original one, like this, we don't have differences here. The difference, if the first value before entering the loop, actually it's false about the condition, do while, because it's do the job, then check the condition, it will do the job first. Okay, you should know it from C language. Let's now start to use IDE for the first example. Okay, I will use NetBeans, as I told you. You can use any integrated development environment, IDE, that you want to use. It's up to you. But don't come to me and ask me how to use it. Okay, each one have some differences. If you would like to use like me, use NetBeans. Okay, because when a student use one IDE, I don't know it exactly, I forget the name, then come how to run the code. Should I search for him how to run the code? I'm only teach him how to write the code, not how to run the code. Use same IDE, you will see how to run the code. Okay. Of course, this week you will have a lab section. Okay, don't miss the lab section. Okay, then the task is to compute the average score for students. We put a student name, midterm, final. Okay. Then we will, you need permission to enter the, yes, burn, Your Majesty. Just tell me where is your house. I will send your driver next time to you. Don't knock the door, okay? Just enter the room next time. Okay, so we have two methods or two functions. Calculate the score. It will take the midterm, final, and it calculates the score. Then it will return float value, which is the student mark or score. The second method, it's to show the student information and the score. Okay, let's create this one. Let's create a new project. Okay. Let's name it project 2. So we have here the main method. I did not mention to create a class for a student. Let's use this class. Of course, any code in Java must have class. All the attributes, the data, and the functions must be inside class. Okay, so we have this class, project 2. Let's create the attributes. What we have here, we have student name, midterm, and final exam. Okay, so we have string. I did not increase the size. I forget to do it. Okay. You see it? Is it visible for you? Oh, it's good. So, string name and float midterm and float final exam. Of course, if you have any variable or any method, you should have the name that meaningful. Meaningful means it's give you the meaning. What's this? Okay, midterm, don't call it M. Okay, final exam, don't call it F. Right, final exam. If you have the name of the method or of the variable that have more than one word, okay, first word will be small letter start. Second word must start with capital letter. It's not must, but it's good practice. If I make it, for example, final exam like this, it becomes more difficult to read it and understand the meaning. But if you start each word with capital letter, it's become more readable. So if I will name it final exam marks, then I have another word, then I will start it with capital letter. So each word in the name must start with, or it's better to start with capital letter, so it's become more readable. Okay, enough final exam. We have two methods. First method, which is to calculate the student average, so, or score. So it's calculate the student average and give us the average, yes? So it's return value for us. This value, which data type, if the midterm and final exam float, so it will be float. We will multiply it by some percent and add the marks. Even if the midterm and final exam integer, usually the student grade will be float because we will multiply by some percent for the midterm and the final then get the score. Okay, so it's written a float. I will name it, for example, calculate average, like this. Okay. So, do we need any parameters like C language? Look, this data defined outside the function. Yes, we need it as passing parameter here. No. Here in Java, what? The attributes belong to the class and the methods belong to the class. So the method can reach this attribute. the class attribute. So you don't need these values to be as passing parameter. You can reach it directly. You can say it. Okay. You can say it directly, return what? I need mid term multiplied by, let's use the old version of OBS system was calculating the marks like this, multiply by 0.4. Yes. Let me put 0. Okay. Plus the final exam multiply by 0.6. Okay, so return midterm double to float. No, because this, okay. No, it's not error, but I will tell you. In Java, we have to put after the float number F, after the double number T. So this one float number, yes? So 0.4 F, 0.6 F. Okay? What's the F? F means this 0.4, it's a float. If it's double, we put D. Okay? So we don't put 0.4 like this, or point some number. We have to mention it's a float or double. Okay, the second function, it's to print the student information. So it's return something. It's do all the job internally. It will only print the data. So it will not return any value for us. So it's return what? The printing method, which is print student data, for example. Okay. This method, what will do? It will only print the student information. So what's the return value for this? It's returns the name for us. It's only print the name. Print all the things. I will write it. Totally then, let's ask you. I want to print the student name. Print or S out. Okay, or system.out.print line. I will print what? Okay, name. Now, how to print the student name from here? We can put it here. It's a text here between double column. It's what? It's a text only, yes? Variable must be printed outside, like this. But this two parts, this text, this variable. If you will print more than one part in the print in Java, just put a plus between it. What's this plus? This plus, not calculation. This plus, it's concatenate the string, append the string. But this string, then this string. So it's take this, print it, then we take the value from name. Okay, so if you have more than one part in the print, not like C language, you put here the modifier %s or something like this, then comma, then comma. No, we don't need the specifier, and instead of comma, we put what? A plus. If we will print more than one thing. Okay, if I will print all the data in one line, let's try it, then I will make it in more than one line. Okay, now I will print another text inside same print. What I should do? Plus. A plus, for example. Okay, space, and then grade, okay, or average. Okay. Now, I will add here the average of the students. So, plus, I want to print in the same printing the average of the student. Where's the average of the student? From calculate average, yes? Should I take it inside variable, then print the variable here? No, I can put the method directly here. It will return the value. So I can call this method, calculate average, here inside the printing. So I will say calc AVG. What calc AVG? It's calculate the average and return the value here. Okay, this is not error. This call the method in constructor and so on. What remain here? I need to identify what's the return value for this method. What's the return value for this method? Print student data. I finished writing this method. What I should here return value? Hello, it's from C language. You have to know it. Who said void? Yes, void. It's not return any value. Yes. It's a print directly. It's job finish inside it. So it's not give us any value. It's not return value for us to take it. So it's not return anything. We should mention that it's return void. So why it's void? Because it's not return any value. Okay. Until now, we are not using object-oriented. We are not using object-oriented. Let's take some information. Look, you can click here to know where is this one. Midterm, directly midterm. Final, final. Name, you can see when you click on variable or method, it will highlight it's come from where. Okay, if I said here name equal Ali. Okay, what's the problem here? No, non-static name cannot be referred from a static constant context. This is the issue. The main method itself, it's what? Static. I said you cannot change it. It must be static. You cannot directly come and call data, use data without object inside it. You cannot directly mention something not static inside something static. because it's in a different place in the memory. Okay. Let's draw the memory. Java have two parts. Okay, stack and what? Heap. Stack and heap. Okay, when we create objects, it will be in the stack and as the pointer in C language. And then, for example, we create object st1, then it will refer in the memory for the part that have its data in the heap. A. Each object have its own data, except the static part, it's not belong to the objects. Okay, so if we have, for example, another object, so each object refers to its data. But the static methods and the static variable will be outside the object's data, will be inside the class data itself. So if you have 10 objects from the class and you have static method, it will not be repeated in first object, second object, third object, because it's static, so it will be in the class itself, like the main method. But if you have method like calculate average, it's not static, yes? So it cannot be inside the memory until you create object, and each object will have its own copy from this variables and from this method. So inside this object, we did not create object. Imagine that we create object st1 and st2. So inside it, we have calc average, and the second object is have another copy from calc average, and it have copy from name, which is a string, and we have copy from midterm and final. And so on. So the main method is in another place, it's not here. So cannot reach this calculate average directly, cannot reach this name directly. How it can reach it? Must have first the object, then through the object, because if we said name, oh, okay, give me the name for the main function. Main function need to set the name. What's the problem here? Without object directly the name. What's the problem? You see the problem inside, in front of you. What's the problem? Which one? This one or this one? We cannot know. Yes? So main is static, it's one time in the class. But name is a normal variable, not static. So with each object, we have its own variable name. So this static cannot reach any of non-static because you don't know which copy. Except how, if you create object, then you said that for the main function, we create object st1, then you can say st1 dot name. Now the main function know which name. It's the name that belong to st1. So it's better now instead of have this data with the main function, actually everything we should create it inside its own class. So I will move this one to a class for the student, this part. I will create, maybe in another file or in the same file, it will be okay. I will create class student. Okay, now we have another class student, and it's have the student name, midterm, and we have calculate the average, and we have print the student. So we have now a class, the student, and this is the main class. Now we can say it that we can have students and we can use it. Okay, I want to reach the name now and midterm and blah. Then I want to use this student class. How to use the student class? We must create object. What time we have to finish? I should know because I don't memorize. 9:30, yes? So, inshallah, we have time. You can take the break at the end of the lecture. 1.5 hours, not need any break action. Okay. Then I want to use this class student. What's the first step to use the class and the class data? I mentioned it last time, yes. We have to create object. You cannot reach the class without create object because a class, it's only a template. So you can have the flat and say inside it, or you can have the building. When you create it from the engineering map, yes, then you will have it. So to have the data of the class, to reach anything from the class, you have to create object first. So first step, I will go to the main method. Now inside the main method, I want to give information for the student name Ahmad, his marks, for example, 70 and 80, then print the student data. To do this, first, I need to create object. How to create object from the class student? First, I put the name of the class, student. Then I give the name of the object. For example, ST1 or student1. Okay. Until now, it's okay. Let's show you in the memory what this means. Student ST1. Okay. In the memory, this means like this. When I said student ST1, I only create in the class, in the stack, ST1 object. But I did not reserve any place in the memory for this ST1 data. So I don't have a place for the name. I don't have a place for the midterm. I don't have a place for the final, and I don't have a place for the methods inside ST1, which is calculate average and print student data. How to create a place here in the heap for it? So you will have place in the heap for the data. You have to continue, set equal new, then the name of the constructor. What's the constructor? It's method that have same name like the class, which is the student. So why it's method? Because it has this parenthesis. Now, when we say the new student, this means we have something like this. In the memory, we have name and the place for the name. We have midterm and we have final exam. Okay, we have three variables and we have two methods, which is calculate, average, and the grade student data. Okay, all this for SC1, student 1. Then what SC1? What is SC1? Okay, say it. It do not need English language to mention it. It's only one word. What is SC1? What is SC1? Someone said it correctly there. It's object from the class student. What is SC1? It's object from the class student. To use the class, you have to create object. So SC1, it's object from the class student. Okay. Let's use this object. How to give now data for the object? We need to reach the name. How to reach the name and give it data? Hello, wake up. What I will say? SC1 dot name. How to reach the midterm? SC1 dot midterm. How to reach the final exam? SC1 dot final exam. Yes? So, how to reach the name here in the heap? It's referred by SC1 now. So the object referred to its data. It's like a pointer that refers to its data. So I will say ST1 dot, as you can see here, the IDE gives you the choices. We can say at final exam, midterm, at name, it's come in green color here. You can say dot calculate average, it come with the bold color and print student. This is the content of the class student, yes. All these others come from where I will mention to string, wait, notify, hash code, get the class, and so on. All this method, you can consider it as default method from Java. You can use it with the object. It's default method. It's come from where I don't want to confuse you. When we mention the inheritance, I will tell you it's come from where exactly. But you can consider it as default method that available for all the classes. Okay? So we need our data. So we said sc1 dot name equal, for example, Ali. We have Ali here. At least we should have one Ali here. Always. Okay, we can say sc1 also dot midterm equal, for example, 75.4. Okay, what's the problem here? F. It's float because SC1 is float value. SC12 dot SC1, we don't have SC12. SC11 dot final equal, for example, 80.5 F. Okay, so what we have now in the memory, we have data inside SC1. SC. Okay, so we have name as Ali. We have midterm 75.5, I think, and we have 80.5. Okay. So now we have data. We can also calculate the average. How to calculate the average for SC1? SC1 dot calculate average. Okay. Okay, what is going here? SC1 dot calculate average, it's return what? It's return value. It's return float value. So you are calling it, but there is no benefit here, yes? If you need the data, you can, for example, said float AVG equal, sorry, SC1 dot calculate average. Now you calculate the average, you put the value inside AVG. You can print AVG now. AVG, it's belong to SC1, it's belong to the student. Focus. Hello. AVG variable. It's belong to which class? I create it here inside project 2. So it's not belong to the student class. Yes? It's belong here to project 2. It's inside the main function. So it's belong to project 2. Just variable, local variable for, it's not belong to the student. Okay. We can print the average. How to print the average? We can say out, okay, AVG or average, then plus AVG. Which one is AVG? Here, this variable. Let's run it. It's a print the average for the student. Let me just put here like this, so we have just a better printing format. Okay, so AVG equal 78.46. Okay, now let me remove this part. I want to print all the student data using what? Print student data method. Then I need only to call it. Where is the print student data method? It's inside the object, yes? In the memory, inside the object. So to call it, you cannot say print student data. Because here we don't know what the meaning of print student data. It's not belong to project 2. It's belong to student class. So we have to use the object from student class, which is SC1 dot the name of the method, print student data. Okay, now it's okay. We don't have error. What's the output here? What's the output? The output will be same like the printing here in this. We call this method print student data. So it will call it from here. What's this print? Name, then the name of the student. Average, then the average of the student. It was 78, yes. So here's the output. Here's the output. Name, Ali, average, 78. Okay? Okay. Let's have another student. We will have another student. I want to have another student. Here we have only one student, SC1, which is Ali, yes? So how to have another student? Who said that? Yes, said it loudly. We need to create another object for the other student. So how to create objects? The name of the class, student, the name of the object. You cannot use SC1 again because you already used this name. So we will use, for example, ST2 equal, then we have to continue. A new, then the constructor, which is same name like the class, student, but as what? As a function, as a method. We name this method or this function constructor. Okay, now we can give data for this student, for example, here, okay? So we have now in the memory, like this, we have another student, its name or its object, st2, and we have another place in the memory that have name, that have midterm, and final exam. Okay? But it do not have any data. We can give it data. How to give data? Using the object name. Now the object name, you are repeating the course? For the attendance, okay. st2 dot name equal, for example, Omar, and we can say st2 dot midterm, for example, equal 88. Okay. We don't need to put f here because we don't have fraction, okay? Because you can put, okay, 88 what? It's integer. Integer, it's smaller than float. You can put the small inside the big value. But if you have fraction, why it's error? Because it could be double, it could be float. If it's double, you cannot put double inside the float. So you will have error. Why you cannot put double inside the float? Because double, it's bigger than the float. It's like you have two boxes, small box and big box. You can put the big box inside the small box? No. So you cannot put the double value because it's big inside the float value because it's smaller. But you can do the opposite. You can put the small box inside the big box. So that's the idea. So if you put F here, it's okay. If you did not put, it's okay because it's considered an integer and you can put integer value inside float. Okay. st2 dot final exam equal 95, for example. Now we can print student to data using sc2 dot print student data. Okay, now how many students we have? 2 students. We can see the output here. We have first student Ali, the average 78. We have second student Omar, the average 92. Okay. Let's continue. See what else we have. Okay, we mentioned this one before, that what's the importance of object-oriented, okay, and why we need object-oriented. We have many advantages, as I said, in the object-oriented, like the reuse, like it's easier to understand it because it reflects the real world. The objects come from our real world, like a student, okay, class, employee, and so on. We don't focus about functions here. We focus about the classes and the object of the classes, which is same like our real world. So it's make it easier to understand the code. It's easier to modify it because you can modify each class without affecting other classes. It's easy to reuse the existing code. You just need to inherit. Inherit means just say that this class take from the other class, and then you can add methods and attribute for the existing class without it change the original class. I will show you. We will take it in the inheritance and so on. And it's much easier to protect the data, hide the data. In the procedural language, we name it shortly POP, which is procedural objected programming, procedural oriented programming, sorry. This means it's focused on procedures or functions. Procedure means functions. But it's focused on the functions and it's not protecting the data. But OOP, object-oriented, it's focusing on data, and you can hide the data, make something, we name it encapsulation, make the data private, so no one from outside the class can reach this data. So what's the importance of the data? Okay, you can reach the data in the matter, in the way that we decide how you can reach the data. We give you some methods to reach the data, but you cannot reach the original data. So we can decide which data you can reach, and if this data you can reach it only for read or only for write, or you can reach it for write and read. But in the procedural programming language like C, you cannot hide the data and said you cannot reach the data for write, only for read. You cannot do it. But in object-oriented like Java, you can hide the data, make it private, and give me function only to read the data. Then you cannot write the data, you can read the data. I can give you only method or function to write the data, but you cannot retrieve or read the data. I can give you both method to read the data and method to change the data and write the data. So it's much easier to hide the data and to protect the data, more secure here. Okay, this one we already mentioned it. We make it in a separate class, student, and show you what's the difference between it. Okay, I think we mentioned all these issues about the class, and the class start with practice here, okay, and end with add, same one. Okay, let's take, until now, as you can see, we only give the data as initial data, yes? But we need to read data from the user, like a scanf in C language. Actually, we don't have a scanf here in Java. It's a little bit different. To read data, we can use a class. It's a class exists in Java language. It's named scanner class, okay? So scanner class have some methods that allow you to read different type of data, like integer, like string, and so on. So it's allow you to read different type of data from the keyboard. So the idea how to read data from the keyboard, we did not take yet. We don't have scanf here. So we have class scanner. Scanner, it's a class. How to use it to read data? If it's a class, how to use the class? What's the first step to use any class? I mentioned it many times, and every lecture I will mention it. To use the class, you have to create objects. So to use the class scanner, we will create objects. So we will set scanner as a class. This class, we don't create it. It's inside the library of Java. We can create objects. Name it input, name it in, name it read, name it scanner. You can read, name it anything. You can name it. So you create object, and any object we use constructor, yes? A new scanner, which is a class name, but it's have this variable, system.in. System.input means read data from the keyboard. Okay, so like this, we create the way to read data, which is now we have object input. We can call the method to read data from the keyboard using the method input. Okay, this class exists in this library. How to have the library inside your code? In C language, you remember include, yes? Include in the library. Here, import. Import, then we have to mention the library. Here is the library scanner. It's inside Java dot util. Util have many, or its package in Java from its name, its utilities, yes? That have some utilities, some classes that help you to do some job in Java. Then the name of the class here dot the scanner. So we call the class scanner that exists in the package util, and util it's part from Java. Okay, so how to read? After we create the object, simply the object dot the appropriate method. Dot next integer means read integer value. Dot next text means read text value. Dot next float means read the float value. So each method read a specific type of value. And when you read value, you need to keep it inside variable, yes? So let's modify our code and use the scanner. So we can use the scanner. of course, you need to what? You need to import the scanner. So in the top, you can write import java.util.scanner. Okay, now we have it. We have this library scanner. We can use it. Okay, scanner. We can set any name of object. What is the scanner? Class. We create object from it. So we can say input. We can say an scanner also, but with the small letter. Okay, let's name it input. So it's not must be the input name. Like any variable, the object, you can name it anything, but we name it something meaningful so we can read it. So input equal. We're creating objects, so we have to use the constructor, which is a new scanner, same name like the class, but scanner, we have C here. Scanner, it have input, which is system, is it small or not? Capital letter, okay. Because it's case sensitive. System dot n. Okay, so now we have a way to read the data, which is input. I can say here, instead of Ali like this, we can say what? We can say read from the keyboard. Now for the name, I will not give initial value. I will read it from the keyboard. How to read it from the keyboard? That's object of the scanner, which is input, okay, dot. Now next, okay, we need actually text here, yes? So we can use next line. Okay. Now next line, what it will do? It will wait from me to enter data. Okay. Scanning, for example. Oh, not here. Here. Okay, so it's read the data from me. So I enter the data, it's read the data. Okay, now let's make same for all of this data. What I will read next, input, dot. Next, what? Float, yes? I will read the float data, yes? Here, midterm, it's a float. So, dot float. This one, input, dot float also. Next, dot float. So now, student one data, I will read it. Let's run again. Okay. I will read the student data, which is name, for example, Ali. Then we have midterm, for example, 80. And we have the final, for example, 90. Then enter, it's finished. We read name, midterm, and final. Now, as you can see, it's a print Ali and the average 86. Between 80 and 90, the average 86 here. Because this multiplied by 0.4, this multiplied by 0.6. We can have same for the second student. Okay, so we can have Same for this student. Okay, so what we do here, we read first student and we read second student using the scanner. Now, if we run, we can enter first student information. For example, Ali, you can make a space, by the way. Not necessary to make enter, enter, enter. You can make a space. Ali space 80 space 90. Okay. Now, Omar space, for example, 70 space 90. Then enter. Okay. Command failed because of the space. Let me use the enter. Okay. Maybe I have to use all space, 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 and next one and next one. So Ali 80, 90. Okay, because it's printing. It's read, then print, then another read. Okay. Because I made a space, by the way. I made another space, then I delete it. So it's have like another information. Ali, 50, 80, Omar, 60. Okay. It did not like to print, then take it again. Let me check what's this one. It's command execution failed. Failed execute, go, blah, 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 blah. Command execute, failed process. Okay, I will search about it. Why it's doing like this? Because of the printing, call the printing in the middle. Now call printing at the end. I think it should work. Okay. Okay, so the read here for Omar, it's a problem. Okay, I will search about it and I will tell you what's the problem later. Let's take one student here. I will try to find what's the issue later. Okay, let's continue. So we see what's a scanner. You can have more than one scanner. Okay. And here print if it's not necessary. I told you print line, it will be better. Okay, almost finished because I already mentioned this one about some practice of naming. Okay, here it's a bad name. Why? Void get. Get what? That's the issue. It's not have any meaning. Get name, okay. Get address, okay. But get what? We don't know. Okay. It's valid and it's have parameter name, so it's readable. Okay. Content, it's okay. Age of, it's okay. So it's mean it must have a meaning. Okay. You will see something like this in some of Java boxes. It's used lower camel case. First name, we use it small letter, lower case. Then if we have another name, it must start with capital letter, another name with capital letter. If we have another name, it must be with capital letter. Like here, save to location. Save, it's a small letter. To, it's a start with capital letter. Location, it's a start with capital letter. Because it will be readable. You can read it. Okay, process, it's one word, so it's a small letter, it's okay. Append, it's a small, one word, so small letter, it will be okay. Even the variable, mobile number, look to number, it's a start with capital letter because it's two words. If you write it without this capital letter for the second word, it becomes not readable quickly. Let me take. Even if you have 5 words, first one will be small letter, second one will be capital letter, third one capital letter, first. For the first character for each word must be capital letter. Okay, let me take the attendance. Before taking the attendance, I will stop the recording.